watching Rogers TV.
Welcome to Out of the Fog. I'm your host, Lydia Loveless. Tonight we have a wild episode for you. First, we're going fishing for some great answers with Dwan Street, the new female president-elect for FFAW. Then we're going soaring through the skies with pilot Wanda Clarke with Airlines. It's going to be an exciting show, so stay tuned and we'll be right back after these messages. And welcome back. Now join with me today is Dwan Street, the very first female president-elect of the FFAW Union. Dwan, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And you know, this is such an extreme, you know, you're making history with this new title. So how does it feel to be the very first female president-elect for this industry?
Very overwhelming. And of course, I did have two running mates who were both males. And yeah, to be elected, not only as the first woman, but also the first president elected by the membership has been a very, very special moment.
So tell us a little bit about the process. I know that, you know, you have been in this industry for over a decade. So tell us how you got into the industry and to where you are today.
Sure. So I grew up in a super tiny community, Spillers Cove in Trinity Bay. It's just outside Bonavista. My dad, my uncles, my grandfathers, all fish harvesters. My dad's actually still fishing. And my mom and my grandmother and my aunts worked in the fish plant. So they were all FFAW members. And of course, I grew up, I was a moratorium baby. I was born in '82 and 10 years old when the moratorium happened. So I kind of got to watch the devastation of that happen around us and what that did to our communities. So my interest was always in pursuing my post-secondary studies in the fishery, and that's what I did. I did a BA and then an MA in political economy in the fishery, and went in to do a second master's in fisheries resource management, with all intentions of eventually working with the FFAW because, of course, representing all harvesters and majority plant workers in the province, that's how you make a difference in the fishing industry.
And like you had mentioned, you're running against two males, and this is normally a male-dominated industry. So how has that been for you, you know, in seeing your successes throughout this?
I think it's indicative of the changing face of the industry, and it's so good to see so many women now on the decks of boats and wanting to take over enterprises. And I think about my position, my current position as staff representative at 3PS, there are some fabulous women harvesters that I work with down there. And I just think there's a group in Garnish, lobster harvesters, and they're fabulous. Like, they're all great friends, they work together, and you know, it's so good to see women stepping into those roles, because you're right, it's been such a male-dominated industry for so long, and even at the helm of the union, it's been male-dominated. But that's been changing as well, because I look around the office, even our science team, our lead scientist, Dr. Erin Carruthers, she's fabulous, and our admin team, you know, majority are women, and it's good to see that changing.
So your presidential electoral comes into effect in November of this year, is that right?
Yes, so the new executive board gets installed at our triennial convention, and that's November 19th this year.
Excellent. So how do you plan on maintaining that element of trust for your union members with your new title?
That's been a struggle with the union for quite some time. And of course, anybody who follows the news and the fishery have seen, you know, we had an attempt at a breakaway union and very legitimate concerns brought forward by harvesters at that time and even now today. So I think instilling and then maintaining that trust is going to be so important and is definitely one of my, probably the most important key issue I want to tackle as president, because you know we have members asking, what's my union doing for me? And I hate hearing that question, because you should know what your union is doing for you, and those results should be pretty evident. And I think a lot of that's going to come down to communication. It's going to come down to opening the doors and making sure that we're transparent, that we're involving our membership in meetings, letting them know what's going on, being out on the road and on the wharves more.
Yes.
That's also going to be important.
That's something you're actually known for. You've always been a voice for the harvesters and being on foot and being around. So tell us how you plan to implement more of that into your role.
Well, I know that I can't be everywhere.
Yes.
But one thing I know is that we have an absolutely tremendous staff in that office. And that goes from our member representatives to our science team, to our program staff, our admin. I want to make sure that their faces are out there too, and they're talking to members. And I feel my role is going to be so much easier knowing that I have a strong team around me and can trust in them to do that work. Because I'm not naive enough to think that I'm going to be able to spend most of my time in Newfoundland. I know I'm probably going to have to be in Ottawa a lot. And there's a bunch of different international events that I think it's very important that we have a presence at. And I just thinking even the NAFO table. I mean, when major decisions are made on fisheries, and we do share some of our straddling stocks, you know, we need to have a voice at that table. And I always say, you know, if you're not at the table, you're on the table. So
right, yeah.
we just need to make sure that we delegate the work and get folks out, get our faces out there, and folks can see who their union is and what the union's doing.
So what types of changes do you plan on implementing as, I guess, when November rolls around, when you are able to take on the presidential role?
Sure. So I do want to sit down with our new executive board, because, of course, it wasn't only my position that was elected. We had 7 at the time, and then there was another election down the road, so we have 8 positions that are all new faces on the executive board. And the executive board is 16 people. So half of that executive board are brand new. And a lot of folks that are outgoing did some tremendous work, and I want to make sure that they know that that was appreciated. But we want to get those new faces in and hear their ideas. And I think we have some very powerful, strong voices at the executive board, the new executive board incoming. So it's going to be interesting to see what their plans are as well. So I just want to return this union to its members, and I want to listen. And I want to talk to our new executive board, reach out to our inshore and our IRO councils, see what they're hearing on the ground. And I think, you know, something else that's really important to me, I've spent my career on the harvesting side with the FFAW, but we also have an industrial retail offshore side. So I want to make sure I'm getting out into the plants, Harbour Grace cold storage, getting out onto the boats, and because of course we do represent takers, tugs, not just fishing boats. So, you know, I want to get to know that side of the FFAW a little bit more, and make sure all of our members know that they have an equal voice and that they're all represented.
That's really great. And so we had a big protest at the Confederation building this year over the budgets and that sort of thing. So how do you plan on implementing or addressing future protests or interactions like this?
There are times, it's unfortunate that we can't all come to peaceful agreements and everybody walks away happy from the table, and that we do have to protest. But I'm a big fan of grassroots unionism. So when we have to protest, we will protest. And you know, there are some times that there's just some stuff you can't get done without getting loud. But again, we want to make sure that when that's done, it's also done respectfully and peacefully. And I know our membership definitely don't want violence, and they don't want anybody getting hurt, which is unfortunate. We did have a gentleman that got injured this spring, and a police officer, of course. We never want to see that, and we don't want to see damages, but we will occupy buildings, and whether that's on the hill here, whether it's at White Hills, Strawberry Marsh Road, or it's in Ottawa, we will occupy buildings, and we are going to have boots on the ground. I think people are going to see a much more, I don't like using the term militant because of the connotation that comes with it, but a lot more active union on the ground.
That's great. And of course, with regards to that, I do have to ask your opinion on the decision to end the cotton moratorium. So can you tell us a little bit about your thoughts on that and how you think it's going to affect the industry for future reference?
I think it was an absolute kick in the teeth to the inshore.
Yeah.
It was a disgusting decision, one that absolutely has no basis and has no reasoning other than the minister's office listening to the corporate side of the fishery. And I've been so disappointed in our Liberal government, in our local MPs who've continued to try to justify that decision. And even their own justifications are so weak, because I heard an interview with Goody Hutchings and have seen some correspondence with Seamus O'Regan, Insurance Rogers, talking about, well, we have international obligations with NAFO. We had to do this. And no, you didn't. You had to do it once you changed the fishery from a stewardship fishery to commercial. And there's no threshold that exists to say when that change has to happen. So it was a conscious decision in the minister's office. And for such a menial increase in the total allowable catch, and to say that that then justified a changing of that terminology and reopening the commercial fishery, it makes no sense. And harvesters are feeling so betrayed and let down, and that they're just not being listened to. Yeah. They've been stewards of this resource since 1992. They were the ones sounding the alarm before 1992 that the stock was in trouble, and they're still not being listened to. So we're going to have to really make some noise on this one. I know the commercial fishery is just closed for the summer as of yesterday. But the fall fishery will be going ahead, and we'll continue to be active to try to get next season reverted back to a stewardship fishery. Because if we don't, we know what happens. And we do not want international or even domestic draggers out there on that very vulnerable stock.
That's great. And, like I said, it's always nice to see that you're advocating so much and representing your union so well. So I will have to ask you, Dwan, so many people look up to you. You have so much support. So what, words of affirmation, I guess, or, advice you would give to someone that might want to get into this industry or industries that's, I'll say, more male-dominated, I'll say?
Keep fighting. Nose to the grindstone. One thing in the fishing industry is I've never felt like anybody treated me any differently.
I've actually heard you say that.
Yeah, and sometimes folks are surprised to hear that, but I think there's a bit of a misconception on how the fishery operates as well. And, I've been on the decks of the boats. I've been in the meeting rooms. I've, always felt welcome. And both male and female had some incredible mentors in this industry and worked with some great people. And, all of the past presidents I've had the opportunity to work with, except for Richard Cashin, but I have met Richard, and, they've always offered their advice to me. And I think the best advice I can give is, if you want something, keep at it, and don't let anybody tell you that you can't have it. Because yes, I had my detractors who told me, maybe you shouldn't run for this position. And then I looked at every other member who looked at me and said, and it was the membership that pushed me to do it. So when the members are saying, we want you to run for this position, and put their faith behind me, that meant the world to me. So, listen to those people around you, take the advice you can get, and even now that I'm in this position, I'll credit Craig Party. He's the MHA for where I'm from.
Yes.
In Bonavista. Vista. And Craig gave me some wonderful advice, and he said, when you do achieve that position that you want, there are going to be low days too. You're going to have your highs, you're going to have your lows. And on those low days, make sure you reach out to the folks who know what it's like and who have been there. And take their advice, lean on them, and don't be afraid to lean on people and on the team that you have, and you'll be fine.
That's great, Dwan, and congratulations once again, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be right back after this short break. And welcome back. Today I have a very special guest with me. It's pilot and social media queen, Wanda Clarke. So Wanda, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I have to be honest with you. I've been following you for years, and I feel like I know you because I love seeing all your adventures, and you document all the cool things that you do. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your current role.
I'm currently captain at PAL Airlines. I've been taking pictures and videos now for about 4 or 5 years. I just went on Twitter one day basically and just said, if anybody would like to see any areas or anything of interest from the air, just let me know. And it kind of really just went from there. My inbox filled up, can you get this and that? And so people enjoy it, and I enjoy doing it, so it's fun.
Well, that's how I found you, because I love seeing all the cool things, and you're always explaining where you're going. And so how did you get into documenting and taking all these beautiful pictures? Do you do it for a hobby, or do you just do this for work?
I do take a lot of pictures in general, and the GoPro really helps with everything at work, with the videos and stuff like that. That's mounted where it's of no interference, and nothing is taken at any critical phases of flight or anything like that.
Right.
And yeah, I just really enjoy taking pictures and videos and sharing them with people. Some people are afraid to fly, some people can't fly. And I've just had a lot of people reach out and say, hey, I feel like I'm there in the cockpit with you when you're flying and stuff, so it's heartwarming for sure.
It is, and seeing, like you said, you have TikTok and a social media presence on Twitter, and everyone's just so positive, and they love your content. So how does that make you feel? I
love it. Yeah. And I love the positivity. I'm a really positive person anyway. At least I try to be most of the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's great. It's so many people from all ages reaching out, from young people to older people. There's been a few people who I've inspired to go to flight training, and now they're pilots, and so that's really, really rewarding as well.
So, and you're a pilot, so did you always know that you wanted to be a pilot, or?
I always loved planes.
Yeah?
Ever since I was a little kid, absolutely fascinated with airplanes. It's just one of those things, you question yourself, hey, can I do this? But my parents were amazing, you can do anything you put your mind to, kind of thing, and they supported me in every way, and yeah, they helped me on the journey, and here I am. So
how long have you been in this industry now?
I've been with PAL, flying with PAL now for, I've been with PAL for 15 years, flying for 13.
Oh, wow.
When I first got my license, it was back in 2001 and shortly after 9/11 happened.
Right.
So the industry, it was much harder to get a job back then as it is now. I'm really happy for this generation coming up now that it's a lot easier to actually get into an airplane when you get out of school, as opposed to having to do other jobs like dispatch or work on the ramp or whatever, which is good too. I mean, I did dispatch for 2 years. It gives you a good knowledge and background of what goes on behind the scenes and stuff like that. So.
Normally, this was always I'll say a male-dominated industry, but are you seeing more females being in the industry and being pilots and doing that sort of thing?
Yeah, for sure. There's definitely a lot more females now in the industry. I know we got a few female captains and other females, first officers right now that are going to be captains soon. And it is good to see. It is definitely still a male-dominated industry, but I have never had any issues with anybody because I'm a female or anything like that. There's been nothing like that. It's just nothing but support from everybody. We got a great group at PAL. A lot of us are friends there. So it's good.
And seeing you so successful, and I see people really looking up to you and being their inspiration. So what advice would you give to someone who's wanting to get into this industry or break stereotypes when it comes to this industry?
Yeah, I mean, like my parents always said, you can do anything you put your mind to, and it is hard work and it takes a lot of dedication, but it's also very rewarding. It's a very rewarding career. You get to meet a lot of great people, see a lot of really nice places and stuff like that. So yeah, just put your mind to it and you can do it. I did it, so anybody can do it.
That's so inspiring. Yeah. And so with regards to that, you've been to a lot of cool places and you've documented some cool things. So what's on your top 3 places that you visited that you've loved and that you've documented?
Up around Greenland. Greenland is beautiful. It's breathtaking. My pictures and videos don't do any justice whatsoever.
It's usually how it works
when it comes to Greenland. And Saglek up in northern Labrador, up around the Torngat Mountains in that area. Beautiful up there, the mountains and stuff like that. And it's just a really interesting place to go. There's polar bears up there. There's wildlife up there. It's there's been a lot of places, but the 2 that really stick out would be Greenland and Saglek, I'd say. Yeah. So
you seem like you travel quite a bit as well. So is there anywhere that's on your bucket list that you want to go to or that you would like to go for work?
I'd like to see Italy. I'd like to head over that way and have
I just got back and it was amazing.
I know. Yeah, I'd like to go over that way and just vacation, myself and Annette or whatever, just go over and have a nice vacation over there. It'd be nice.
That's great. And so I have to say, I don't have a fear of flying or I don't have any anxiety, but my partner, Curtis, does. Every time he gets on a plane, he has anxiety, or it's usually the takeoff. So, what advice or recommendations would you give to someone that has a fear of flying?
Don't be afraid to ask questions, because I've helped a lot of people just by asking me questions. It's some people just don't know what that sound is, or they don't know what's going on. But once you inform them and give them some information about what that is or what's about to happen or whatever, then I find it eases their mind a little bit, and it breaks my heart to see people so afraid of flying, and some every now and then I'll go back and just be on the ground obviously, and just be I heard you got a fear of flying, are you okay? And just ask them what it is they're afraid of, and then maybe explain it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I got an aunt who's absolutely terrified of flying, and there's nothing I can say to her that's going to change it. And that's just it, right? But I've helped a lot of people too with their fears.
I actually read an article that you were helping someone back a few years ago who had a severe fear of flying.
He was really bad.
So tell us a little bit about
his name's Dana. I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying. We've become great friends. I think the absolute world of him. He was probably one of the worst I've seen, And now, today, I'm so proud of him. He'll get on a plane, he'll text me, taking off now, and he's totally fine. He's from what I can see, he's overcome his fears, definitely. and
so
he's come a long way. Yeah,
You're doing wonders, Wanda. And I know you've mentioned a few times, and we kind of had a quick chat about it, but people that inspire you in your life and to get to where you are. So, can you tell us about those special people that have gotten, to where you are today and to help you through the process?
Yeah, well, actually, years ago, I met a friend, and I ended up finding out that he was a pilot. And I wasn't a pilot at the time. Yeah. Hadn't even thought about flight school because it was one of those things where I didn't know how to go about it. I didn't really know anything about it, and I met him, and when he told me he was a pilot, I was instantly fascinated. And he took me down to the flight school, down at Atlantic Aviation Academy, down at PAL Airlines, owned the flight school back then, and sat me in a plane, and ended up speaking with an instructor down there, Kim. She was amazing. She's my very first flight instructor. Love her to pieces.
Oh, I love that.
And she took me up on an intro flight, and that was it.
Wow.
That was it, done. And then I actually hid it from my parents because they were kind of worried I wasn't going to like the lifestyle, being gone a lot, being in hotels a lot and stuff like that, because that is hard.
Yes.
That is the hard part about it, because, you want to be home with your family and whatever. But yeah, no, he really inspired me to do it, and like I said, I hid it from my parents, and one day...
Who ended up being super supportive of
100%, 100%, the two most amazing people, and they just asked me to give them a minute, and I heard them talking about it, and they were like, she must be serious about it, she spent all her money on it, because I had been halfway through my private license at that point before I even told them.
Right.
So, and then once they found out, they were 100% supportive, and yeah, so it's all to them. Yeah.
That's awesome, Wanda. Well, thank you so much for being
Thanks
here
for
with
having
us today.
me.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, same.
And we'll be right back after these messages.
Your opinion matters, and we want to hear from you. Get in touch with us using our viewer feedback line, your direct connection to shaping the shows you love. It's easy. Just grab your phone, scan the QR code on your screen, and take our quick survey. Share your thoughts, and let's make your viewing experience even better.
Thanks so much for tuning in for another exciting episode of Out of the Fog. We want to thank Dwan Street for coming in today to talk about her new presidential role with the FFAW starting November of this year. And of course, if you want to follow Wanda to see all of her exciting adventures, you can follow her on her social media. Until next time, much love.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
We want to hear from you. Provide feedback on this show or find out how you can get involved. Call, email us, or scan the QR code to take our quick survey.
Sports fans know Sundays are for football. That's why you need NFL Sunday Ticket. With NFL Sunday Ticket, Rogers customers get every live game, every Sunday afternoon, all season long. Follow your favorite teams and players live in HD. Order NFL Sunday Ticket and get up to 200 regular season games. Rogers Ignite TV customers say NFL into your voice remote.
Here are 3 reasons why your social strategies should include Rogers TV. Reason number 1 is we have hyper-local audiences. The community TV channel gives you a chance to engage with people where you live, so you really get to know your neighbors and they get to know you. Reason number 2 is we can help diversify your distribution. With social media, it's really important to be able to have a wider audience, and Rogers TV can actually help complement your online presence by delivering to a different audience. And it's actually really easy to repurpose your existing content or to just create new material specifically tailored for community TV. And finally, reason number 3 is we can help enhance your credibility and your trust. And by aligning your brand with Rogers TV, you can tap into that trust that viewers have. This can boost your reputation, especially among viewers who favor local businesses and value community involvement. 1, 2, 3. It's that easy to build your local audience with Rogers TV.
This fall on Rogers TV, we'll be airing your RNC